What up, everybody? Happy Monday. Welcome to Coffee Hour with Paul. You made it to the end of the month. The spinning win ends today. Means this is the last day you can get in on winning anything for this quarter. So make sure you do that hashtag win. Get in on the spin. We'll do some drawings today, a few extra ones today, and get you in on that so that you can enjoy the goodness of the spin. Okay, so the drawing now, the actual drawing, we got to compile everything, put it together so we have all the names on sheet. So it's going to take us a few days to do that. Jeff and me are going to do that. And once we do that, then we'll do the drawing, we'll list the names and we'll do everything. But we have to now compile, and we wanted to give you one more day to make sure that you can get in on the spin. So again, this is the last day of the month. So you can get in on it. All you got to do is put hashtag win in the comments. And I will say you're getting a bit of advantage today because we are not on LinkedIn today. I messed up something with the scheduling of the stream. So everybody that's over on LinkedIn, you're missing out. We're unable to do anything on LinkedIn today. Womp, womp, womp. Sorry about that, LinkedIn. LinkedIn has a weird system that does not, if you don't set it right, and it screws it up and it just messes everything up. So we're only streaming today on Instagram, on our Fast Tracks Tube. We've got 2 YouTube channels. I don't know if you knew this or not, but we have 2 YouTube channels. So if you subscribe on Master the NEC, you also can subscribe over on Coffee Hour with Paul. That's a separate YouTube channel. We'd appreciate it if you subscribe over there. Get those subscriptions up for that one, just so we can get it up a little bit. But of course, we're on Facebook as well. And of course, we're behind the scenes over on TikTok, where we already have some folks asking us questions, but it's a little short. I don't have enough time to answer those questions here on a live show. But you can post all questions. As y'all guys always know, you can go to paulabernathy.com. It's a free resource that allows you to post questions. And we'll get back to you, or they're used on an upcoming podcast or something like that. So, but we try to reach out back to everybody the best we can. That is, again, over on paulabernathy.com. Okay. All right. So enough of that. So folks, first thing we want to do is give shout outs. So all you out there, I love to live vicariously through you in all of your successes. And I've been getting quite a few emails from people that have been passing their exams and being successful. And I love to see it. I love to see people achieving the dream. You know, again, as an electrical contractor, one of my biggest dreams, now I went to engineering school, but one of my biggest dreams was to become a master electrician. You know, everything else to me failed in comparison to finally getting that piece of paper, right? That finally having that license, right? That's a license in Virginia. That was where I started my journey, in Virginia. So getting that license in Virginia was a serious goal for me. And then once I achieved that goal, I went on and did other things. But that was the big achievement for me. So it may be for you, it may be journeyman, maybe it's even apprentice. But don't give up. Keep moving forward. The more you learn, we're only here a short amount of time, but learn everything you can, that type of thing. So I love to let go, but I also love to shout out to all of our visitors. So if you're new here, let us know your name, where you're from, and maybe a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in the trade or whatnot. We'll share it on the screen. If you're regular, again, we love it. Give us your name, where you're from again. Do a shout out. Don't forget the hashtag win. And take an opportunity to do that in the chat. And we'd love to do it. And so we're going to share some and see some of our family here. Adam, good morning. Weekend too short. It came and it went. That was an eventful weekend for me. I cut a bunch of trees down, but I also realized that we may not be getting the building that we were going to get here. It's a little bit weird with some zoning here in Louisa County, so may not happen. Who knows? We'll see. Paul, good morning. Thanks for joining. Also, if I'm a little blurry on your end, come to find out, it is probably our bandwidth with the Starlink. So again, just hang in there. At the end of the day, it should get better in a couple months when they finally get the new service in here. But we'll see. We'll see. Alberto, good morning. Glad to have you here. Terrence, thanks for joining me. And it's nothing worse than having blurry pictures. So I get it. And there's no way for me to fix that. There is literally no way. I mean, I could take this autofocus off, right? And I could blur it out and bring it back in and do that. There's just no way. There's just no way for me to fix it. Anyway, where was I? Sorry, I got sidetracked real easy. All right. Christopher, good morning. Thanks for joining us this morning. A lot of hashtag wins going out there. What do we got here? Blood Raider 14. Alabama, I assume here. And new student to the Fast Tracks program. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. And hope you get something out of the program. Again, show y'all how to do it. By the way, Christopher's showing everybody how to do it. There's the, right there. Hashtag win. Today is the last day for this cycle. And we will add some stuff and change it. And we'll start a new one for next cycle. Let's see. Rob's showing us how to do it. Rob's over on Fast Tracks Tube. So he's over on our Tube platform. Good morning, David. David is over on YouTube. David sometimes, I guess, follows over on LinkedIn, but you notice we're not on LinkedIn today. A mess up by Paul. Paul is technical challenged today. Did not get that set up right. It is something screwed up, and I don't know what the heck happened. Charlie's in the house. Welcome, Charlie. Glad to have you here. Born to Plumb is in the house again. Got those converting those plumbers over to electrical. Gotta love that. I see you, Beto. Okay. Charlie says, okay, you have one more subscriber. Thank you. Love having you here. Good morning, David. David's in the house. Good morning, David. Glad to have you here. Let's see here. What do we got here? David Carter. Good morning. All is well. I can't complain. Life is good. Everything's just moving forward. Weeks are just zipping by. So let's see here. What do we got here? Edward Ellis. Thanks for joining us, Edward. Glad to have you here. Angel, I am doing great today. Again, can't complain. Beginning of the week. Weekend's over. Time to make some money. Get to work. Edgar, good morning. Glad to have you here, as always. Felix. Good morning, Felix. You new? Well, welcome, new Felix. Glad to have you here. We talk about just about anything on Coffee Hour. One of the key focuses on Coffee Hour in the morning is to get your day started. Share with us what you want to share. We go over some lessons, talk about some certain things, and again, have a little coffee. And again, for all you out there that are watching, please do me a favor. Whatever platform you're watching on, please subscribe. We'd love to have your subscription. That way you get notified if we come live. And I do a lot of live stuff. But I also do some recordings, and you never know what we're going to share. So it just keeps you up. Charlie says it's clear there. Excellent. So it must be just on my end over here. It's probably my bandwidth on my end, so it's good. As long as it's clear. Joseph from up in New Jersey. Joseph, welcome. Glad to have you here. David's in the house. David, glad to have you here. Jonathan's in the house. Jonathan, good morning. Tennessee's in the house again. There we go. Dan Martins. Welcome, Dan. Cray Cray's in the house. What's up, Cray Cray? Tennessee. Hashtag win. Slamming it in there. Angel. Angel's in the house. Good morning. I am doing great. Can't complain. Okay. Here's the old saying, you could complain, but ain't nobody listening. So no sense in complaining. Frank the Great's in the house. Thank you, Frank. Glad you could be here. Red Dog, good morning. California, fast track student. Okay. Jumping over to fast track tube, molecular math video. Can't stop, won't stop. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Learning, learning, learning. We have some great videos over on Fast Tracks Tube, very select videos, even ones that we share from other creators. We're very select about what we share. Not everything in their portfolio do we share. They share it publicly so we can share it. But it's one of those things that we want to make sure that we're only sharing stuff that we agree with, that we think is accurate. So you won't get any BS over on the Fast Tracks Tube. Okay, we have a bunch of other wins in there. So all right, so let's get in. So what do we say today? And remember, just one more reminder, if you're new to the show, today is the last day to get in on this quarter's Spin and Win. We've got a bunch of great giveaways that we're going to be doing in a show. We'll announce that show, as I said. I'll let you know when that show is going to be. The drawings will probably be this week. We'll put everybody's name together. We still got to get it. I mean, there is literally page after pages of names that we have to transfer over onto drawing cards. So we'll do that. Me and Jeff will get that all squared away, and you'll be notified when the show is going to be and all that stuff. So don't worry about that. But that locks out this period. Today is the last day for this drawing, and we'll start a new one, and we'll change some prizes up and do some good stuff and that type of thing. Again, always remember, folks, that I may not be able to answer all questions. Feel free to post questions in the chat. If it is off the topic, I like to keep them on topic, but because we have a plan, we have an hour, and I do go over an hour. But remember, you can always go to Paul Abernathy. Again, it's just like it sounds. Paul Abernathy, PaulAbernathy.com. It's a free service. It allows you to be more detailed in your question. And the more detailed you're in your question, the more accurate and detailed my response can be. All right. So it's much better. And also for legal reasons, it allows disclaimers so that we can make sure that you're asking your questions. And if it's not enough detail, again, we can make sure that we have a follow-up to get more detail. And it's all through a controlled system rather than just me getting these tons of emails, which many cases I may not get. It might slide by, it may go to junk mail or something like that. So again, it's a better way, and we created this a couple years ago. A better way to get responses to us is go to paulabernathy.com. All right, let's get back to basics. Okay, so we said this week we were talk residential. We're going to be back. Oh, by the way, the show is sponsored by TradeHog. If you haven't tried it out, go try it out. TradeHog.net. Put some information in there. Test the hog. And see what it does for you. Good morning, Manny. Look at that green Code Nerd hoodie. You want your own Code Nerd hoodie? You want to sport the nerd? Go over to fasttracksystem.com and go to our store. Or you can go to fasttracksystem.com/shop, S-H-O-P. You can get there as well. Thank you, Manny. All right, let's go on and get into today's lesson real quick. Back to basics, baby. Okay, setbacks, board holes, cables, securing, supporting, just basics today. We want to make sure that we don't go anywhere. There should be no reason. What's up, Tino? Thanks for joining us. There should be absolutely no reason for you to fail an inspection for little old things like the setbacks and board holes, the anything like that. There should be no reason to ever have any issues, especially after we go over this stuff on the show. And again, we're here Monday through Friday, so the topics could go anywhere, that type of thing. So this is our topic. for today. We're going to talk about quite a few things today, but I want to start giving you stuff that I can actually put on the screen and other than just code questions all the time. But we will be getting back to some code questions because, again, we want to learn to dissect questions. But setbacks. All right, this is a typical wood frame member. Now, one of the big changes for 2023 was that everybody always thought that 1.25 inches from the edge of the board hole to the edge of the frame member was only on the side where you were. Like if you're doing a framing and you were doing it on your side and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to put sheetrock up and whatnot, gypsum board, and I only had to worry about one side of it. Well, it made it very clear in the 2023 because they changed the language. Made it very clear that when it said edges of the wood framing member, it actually means both sides of the framing member. Okay. Now you could have an AHJ that says, well, the other side is up against a block wall. I'm not worried about it. Okay. But you may have the other side might be up against wood siding or vinyl siding. And then it makes a hell of a difference. Okay. So that's where your AHJ has to work with you a little bit. But it's so much easier if you just understand the code and you comply anyway. And everybody says, well, how in the world do I get those little nail plates on the back side of this wall? Well, if you take the little points and you flatten them out, then you can slide it back there and you can tap it into place if you're worried about getting it back here, if it's against a wall or Celotex or whatever it is, because you don't know what's being placed on the outside. But what is important about this is that they were very clear that if you have a bored hole through a framing member, that you have to maintain 1.25 inches, and that's from the edge of the framing member. So from right here to here. Okay. Now remember, this is wood framing members. So 300.4A1 is about wood framing members. So it says bored holes. You wouldn't bore a hole, okay? You would not bore a hole in a metal. You'd punch a hole. You with me? What's up, Peter? Thanks for joining us. D'Angelo, hashtag win. Thanks for joining us, D'Angelo. Okay, so now the 1.25 inch setback applies to all locations. Okay, no matter where it is, you bore through the holes, you have to maintain that 1.25 inches from the edge of the bored hole to the edge of the framing member. Now, put that in context. If the typical 2x4 is not really 2x4, right? It's typically probably going to be only about 3.5 wide. Okay, I know. Now, your home was built back in the 60s and 50s, whatnot. You probably got a damn 2x4. You probably got a real 2x4. Today, not so much. You're going to get dimensional lumber that is probably less. But so anyway, conceivably, the maximum hole that I could drill in a 3.5, which is a 2x4, which actual dimensions of 3.5. Go measure one today. Go out on your job site when you're out there today. Do me a favor. Here's your challenge. Take your ruler, put it up to it, snap a picture of it, share it on social media. Come on, let everybody know. 2x4s ain't 2x4s. But anyway, if this actually measures 3.5, then the largest hole that we could put in here would be what? Okay, so the largest hole that can be bored in a 3.5 without using a nail plate is 1 inch, right? Because if we put a 1 inch in here, right, then from this that would be 1 inch, 2, 3, and then you have 1/4 and 1/4, right, which is 3.5. So that is the maximum size. So if you're putting, here's the thing. If you're using big augers and you're just using 1 inch, you're probably using 3/4 auger, something like that, right? Hopefully you're using something decent that you stay in the step. But if you happen to be using 1 inches ones, right, and you're not meticulous about punching them in these bored holes when you're going through the framing members, then you're going to need a nail plate. But what does the code say about that? So let's go to the code really quick. All right, so here's the code, and here's 300.4 right there. So y'all see it, and here it is, bored holes. Okay, now you notice that A says cables and raceways through wood members, okay? So this was dealing with wood members. Okay. Now, see this right here that's grayed out, or it's kind of like out like this right here? See that part right there? From the edges, plural. So this applies to both sides of the framing member. Okay. Now, if you don't believe me, there is some additional, there's some nice picture down here, right? But if you want to go look at the change, the neat thing about link is that I can click this right here and I can see the view change. Click it and you change summary and it says right here, revised text to clarify the measurements are from both edges of the stud or framing member, okay? Both edges. Okay? So again, for somebody that says, Paul, you're full of crap. No, it is actually both sides. Now, again, working with your local AHJ, they may say that, well, the one side has a block wall or a brick wall or whatnot, and you're just putting the 2x4s against it. Then they might give you some slack on the backside. In fact, there's many cases where guys will run their NM cable or whatever around the backside. Obviously, that's going to be a local jurisdictional thing. They'll be okay with it. Still got to secure it and support it, okay? But at the end of the day, it's probably not going to be damaged, and you probably would not need a nail plate or something like that. But from the side that you're on, okay, that you're working from out in the room, that's framing member, that 1.25 inches is going to come very much into play when you're boring through those wood members, okay? Bina, welcome. Jafar, #win, welcome. Glad you're here. Daniel, I see you in the house. Thanks for being here. All right, so let's get back to the lesson. All right, so that's what we're dealing with that. Okay. Now, when we're talking about those steel plates, okay, so where the bore hole, where it is less than 1.25 inches from the edge, the cable shall be protected by a steel plate from penetration by screws or nails. That's 300.4A1. Now, that steel plate, okay, needs to be at least 1/16 of an inch, or it could be listed. Now, what does that mean? So if we have a listed steel plate or one that's marked, then it may be less, but it is listed. What's up, David? Thanks for joining us, okay? It may be listed as a nail plate for this application. Other than that, we're going to have a steel plate by at least 1/16 of an inch, okay? All right, now, you are allowed to do it in notches as well, but you still have to have that separation, okay? Now, of course, I will tell you from the framing guys out there, if that framing member, for example, has something to do with, and you wouldn't need a plate, as long as you can have that spacing, right? I don't know why you would do this. This pretty much compromises the framing member, but again, I'll leave that to the building guys. We'll let the building inspector harp on you for that. But again, this is no different than boring the hole right in the middle, but it does the integrity. But if you're less than 1.25 inches, like this one here, for whatever reason, then there's a nail plate. And if you do a small notch, you can do a nail plate, that type of thing. Anything that's going to be less than 1.25 inches from the edge of the framing member to the edge of the board or a notched opening. I will tell you, looking at the NEC, and of course, it worked for a minute, then it stopped working. So, all right, we'll bring it back. All right, here we go. So, notice that it says here about it says for protection by a steel plate, okay, or bushings at least 1/16 of an inch thick. So many of you have probably seen those little things that actually slide into the board hole. We don't have a problem with those as well. I would say they're like bushings. At the end of the day, as long as they provide the thickness that's necessary, that is 1/16 of an inch, then I don't really have a problem with it. Again, anything that can keep a screw from penetrating it will be all right with it. I think those little ones that you slide in the holes, for me, are a waste. But if you're only going to do a couple of them, then it's not too bad. I mean, they are expensive versus just a standard nail plate. But that's up to you. You know, whatever you want to do with that type of thing. Totally up to you. All right. Knowledge. What's the minimum distance required from the edge of a framing member for a bored hole through a wood framing member when the cable assembly is passing through the hole and a steel plate will not be used for protection? Okay, we just went over this, so this should be a no-brainer. 1, 2, 3, or 4. What do y'all think the answer is? Let's just get everybody's juices flowing here. Knowledge check. We just talked about it. So what should the values be? Let's get some chat rolling up in here. So I know that you all are watching, and I know there's a delay. But is it 1, 2, 3, or 4? Obviously, Obviously, we just went over this, so this should be a no-brainer. All right. Number 2. David's number 2. Paul. And Finette. Okay, there you go. Everybody's throwing it out there. Paul's converting it down into decimals. Okay, he knows I like to get things down to decimal. All right. Good job, everybody. All right, y'all all are watching. All right, so there we go. Number 2, right there. All right, just wanted to check, see if y'all were all too busy in your coffee today, and really we're just kind of, I know that Adam's probably driving, so. All right, so now let's talk about metal framing members, okay? Because that's an easy peasy. Oh, Manny with the millimeters, dude. Really? Okay, Manny. I had an engineer ask me the other day, do you think Paul will ever go back to millimeters and meters and all that stuff is the primary, is something that's mainly used? And my answer to that is I hope not. Okay. I like the imperial. I like the inches and the feet, and it just makes sense to me. We're in Europe. They're very, very much about millimeters and meters and all that. It gets too confusing for me. Anyway, I just like to keep it simple. Okay. All right, so let's talk about metal framing members. And a lot of people ask, can you run non-metallic sheath cable in a metal framing member? Absolutely, you can. If you choose to build a house out of steel members like this one shown, that is a design choice. It may be in Arizona where you have a lot of termites or something, and somebody wants to build their home out of metal studs. Well, that's fine. If you could have built it out of wood, but you choose to build it out of metal studs, then it's perfectly okay to use non-metallic sheath cable in it. But you got to have the grommets like shown in this image. Okay, and we're talking about full grommets, right? Right here. Just full grommets around there. Right? So not those half things. It used to be years ago, they put these little lay-in half-moon grommets. But again, as you're pulling it through, the cable bounces up and down and cuts the crap out of it. So non-metallic sheath cable, if you're using that and you're going to use wood framing members, okay, they pass through the holes or the slots. A lot of times they got this, you're being pre-cut, so they have the square slots in it, or the kind of square with rounded corners or whatnot, still sharp as all get out. If you're going to use non-metallic sheath cable in those metal framing, they must be protected by a listed bushing or grommets covering all the metal edges and securely fastened, so they'll click in, so they don't just easily just pop out. Okay, and that is in 300.4b1. Also, I should remind you, one of the unique things about our programs, Fast Tracks programs, and y'all know it, y'all are in the program, is that always supported with a code reference so that you can stop and go into your code book and actually look at it, because there's nothing that takes the place of reading a paraphrased information, let's say in a lesson, but stopping and actually going to the code book and actually reading it. And sometimes looking at it from two different ways will give you a better understanding of it, the context of it. And so when you come back to the lesson, you're like, oh, I get it. It makes more sense now, that type of thing. One of the neat things you can also do, if you have any type of wording in here that in the code that you don't understand or doesn't make sense to you, then copy and paste it over in TradeHog. That's right, our sponsor of the show, TradeHog, which is the AI tool for trade folks, where you can ask it questions and even terminologies that you may not understand from the NEC. Just cut and paste it right in there, and it'll try to clarify it for you, that type of thing. Shameless plug for TradeHog. Okay. Now, opening slots and holes can be punched either factory or field, cut or drilled into the metal members. Again, I'm not so sure I find these metal. Most of the metal studs that I see today have the holes already pre-punched. What's up, Fernando? Over on the tube. Thanks for joining us. So again, but you can punch them. You can buy them that are just, usually if it's the longer spans, they may not have any openings in them. Shorter, typical 8-foot metal studs, things like that you already buy at length, probably have the holes punched already in them. They're not going to be usually not going to be those nice round holes, that type of thing. But So just to show you in the code, let's go over to the code. So we're off of the board holes. We're off of the notches in the wood, okay? Essentially the same thing we just read before. Both of these, by the way, the wood framing members, whether it's notched or board holes, do have the exception here, okay? And I was talking to you about a listed plate, but let me show you the exceptions real quick. This is, again, for wood framing members, even though we just looked at metal frame members. This is all about wood exception. Number one, steel plate shall not be required to protect rigid metal conduit, intermediate metal conduit, rigid non-metallic conduit. That's Schedule 80, believe it or not, folks, not required. Or a couple, like one cycle ago, they added EMT, so electrical metallic tubing. So if you happen to be running, and a lot of people say, wait a minute, Paul, you can't run NM cable inside of a conduit or tubing. Yes, you can, okay? Yes, you can. Whole different episode, but again, there's people out there that say you can never run non-metallic sheet cable in a raceway. Oh, you most certainly can. Not a problem. Okay. Now, some things you may have to consider. If you're putting in an NM cable in a raceway and there's a box on each end, then you're going to have to do raceway fill. You treat it like a single conductor, and you're not exceeding the raceway 53%. Right? If you put two NM cables in a raceway, now you got to treat it like two, so you're reduced to 31%. You might as well go to 3, then you can go up to 40% and treat it basically like it's 3 conductors. Okay. Now, if you don't know how to size raceway for an elliptical type of cable, then go to Fast Track's Tube. We have videos on that. Explains how to do it. Okay. But if you're doing it for physical protection, then you have a little allowance in Chapter 9, Table 1, Note 2 that says, forget about the fill requirements. You're just sliding it in this tubing or this conduit to protect it from being damaged, then don't worry about it. But the caveat to that is it can't be connected as a complete system. It would be just a short piece. And again, we don't define short, but it can't be connected to a box on each end. Okay. Then it would be just there for protection. Okay. You get me? All right. Back to the lesson. All right. So that except, oh, by the way, I got the other exception. All right. Sorry about that. The other exception, let me get back here because it, all right. So that is where you don't need the steel plates if you're running through board or notches. That's the same for both, by the way. And then, of course, you have the exception number 2. And this is where it's a listed or marked steel plate less than 1/16 of an inch thick that provides equal or better protection against nail or screw penetration shall be permitted. Okay, so you can get nail plates that are listed or they have specific markings on them. They've been designed specifically as a nail plate. Then it may be less than 1/16 of an inch, but that's okay because they're marked, labeled, they're for a specific use. They're okay, that type of thing. All right, okay. And it may also be the listed ones that go inside of the framing members. They may be less, but they may be identified and basically listed and marked for a specific application, okay? Extender Pro nail guards, I'm not sure what they are, David. I don't know if you're talking about the little round ones that go inside of the board holes. I have seen those. They're a bit pricey. I'd rather just get the old plain old nail plates, that type of thing. I think one of the big things that I also will tell people about nail plates is people tend to get skimpy on the nail plate and they don't realize that it has to cover the entire cable assembly. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. So you know, it's one of those things whereas they get a nail plate and they try to turn it, caddy it, you know, or angle to cover an opening or for whatever the size cable is or whatever they're doing. And they realize it's not covering the entire cable assembly. It's maybe a little bit of it showing, and I can see an inspector turning that down. You may have to use 2, okay, butt them end to end or something like that. But remember, at the end of the day, you're protecting. The last thing I want is to run a risk of it being damaged. And I got to come back and it's in the wall now. Man, that's going to suck. I'm just saying, what's the cost of a nail plate? You know, of course, you could drill all your holes and never have to need nail plates. But let me tell you what, if you're drilling in an area where you have 4 or 5 studs that are jacked up, maybe at jack plates and you're at the edge of where windows or doorways or something, or you're going under windows, then you may have to use a long bit. And by the time you get through it, you may not, on the other end, you may be closer than 1.25 inches than where you started. Well, reality is, remember what we said earlier? If the outside of this building is going to be like siding or something that's not brick or whatnot, okay, in that scenario, then when you run into that, then you're going to make sure that you still have to maintain it, okay, maintain it on both ends, okay. All right. We haven't got to that yet. Hang with me on the MC question. All right. Okay, now. So now we're talking about cable cable assemblies. Let's see here. Oops. Where am I at here? Oh, my thing is not running. What in the world? Hold on here. Let's see here. Why did my thing stop? Okay, sorry. Anyway, we'll go over to that here in a second, Rob. All right, so let's finish this thought real quick. Okay, parallel to framing members and furring strips. Cables installed parallel to framing members, studs, joists, whatever, or installed parallel to framing strips or furring strips shall be installed and supported so that the nearest edge of the framing member is at least 1 1/4, okay, for Manny, 32 millimeters, from the nearest edge of the framing member or furring strip where nails or screws are likely to penetrate. Okay, so if you're in a basement and you're furring it out and you're finishing it off and you have these little furring strips and you run your cable down the side of the furring strips, well, you run the risk of actually penetrating. So you need to, and in this case, obviously they were okay. And then they, somebody came along. This is a plumber came along and moved your cable out of the way. We'll say the electrician didn't do this, right? And ran it through this bored hole right here. And now you run the risk you don't have the 1 1/4 right here. Okay? And it could apply to either side. Okay? And if that's the case, then what happens is you're going to need a nail plate because they could penetrate. Okay? Make sense? All right. Now, when you're doing furring strips, and you're running it down it, you might have to just run it off the furring strip because you won't be able to keep that 1 1/4 to the cable. So you might have to run it off the furring strip 1 1/4 and run it down. You might have to even secure it to the block wall or something running down if your furring strips are on a block wall in order to keep it 1 1/4 away. Okay. Now, again, if that is not possible for you to do, then if a 1 1/4 setback is not possible, then it must be protected again by plates, or again, you have exception if you have certain ones that are listed that may be less than 1/16 of an inch. But I could go out and get 1/16 of an inch plates that aren't listed and use those as long as they're 1/16 of an inch. But manufacturers make the ones that are available that you can buy commercially, and they're probably going to be 1/16 of an inch or less in that scenario. Other thing to remember is that if you're going to be penetrating a top plate or bottom plate, many jurisdictions around the country are going to want you to seal that penetration. Okay, again, every jurisdiction's a little different, so be aware of it. But this is 300.21. You're stopping the products of combustion, allowing air to get down into that cavity. Typically doesn't apply horizontally. It's top or bottom. So if you're in a second floor and you're penetrating through, there's a chances are that you have to maintain the rating of that assembly, that type of thing. The AHJs might call it out on the electrical. It is 300.21 if it's a fire rated assembly. And typically top plate and bottom plates would require those to be sealed. But again, check with your local jurisdiction. There's the foam, the great stuff orange we used to use. I can go around and hit the entire house, just done. And be done with it, that type of thing. Okay, so keep that in mind. But this is just a fire caulk, probably from a 3M or Hilti or something like that. So you have to maintain it, that type of thing. All right. So let's get back to that question. So let's go to the code. And here we go. Okay, so one of the key things to remember here is for the protection. So it was asked about MC cable. Okay, so first off, this is the protection. And the first one says wood frame members, okay? Wood frame members. So if you're going to be running MC cable through wood frame members, if you are, okay, then this doesn't distinguish any different, a wood frame member. So if I ran MC through it, okay, and MC is not listed down here, okay, none of these options for the exception, okay. So if I ran MC through a wood framing member, then I would think that I absolutely have to maintain this, okay. One of the things about it is that wood is less forgiving than the big openings you would have in a metal stud, which would not require grommets for MC, that it can bounce around and move out of the way. Probably harder in the wood to do that. So again, this is again cables. MC is a cable through bored holes, okay, through wood members. Notches, same thing. I don't see anything in here that would exclude, says cables or raceways. I don't see anything that would exclude MC cable in this, or AC cable, by the way. All right, and then down here, it's non-metallic sheet cable and electrical non-metallic tubing through metal framing members. So this is dealing with non-metallic cable. It's not talking about MC, okay? And then this is talking about non-metallic sheets. So there's nothing in here, okay? These are specific to these types of products. So there's nothing in here about MC cable in a metal stud requiring any of those nail plates, okay? So hopefully that answered your question. So typically within a nail plate, within a metal stud, you're not going to require anything, okay? Now, AJ says, I've had AH challenge. The foam doesn't satisfy the rating. I believe that, oops, hold on a second. I'm going to lose TikTok. I believe that the AHJ would be wrong if you had the Great Stuff Pro Orange, because it says right on the front of it, it's ASTM D something standard. And I would say that would be more than adequate. Now, you can't use the standard Great Stuff Pro. Yeah, you can't use the Great Stuff foam. But they do make an orange version that is fire retardant, that is designed for this type of thing. And I've used it forever. Even back when I was in contracting and I filled those penetrations, they had no problem with me using the orange version. So again, depends on your jurisdiction again. But again, that could be just the AHJ uneducated. So one of the things you can do is submit them the product sheet for that orange version, okay? That type of thing. And you're bringing up another theory. What about in contact with the conductors? It's not in contact with the conductors. It's in contact with the cable. And as a wiring cable manufacturer, the Great Stuff Pro and all that stuff has absolutely zero effect on the sheathing of a cable. Zero. None. It's not going to hurt it at all. Okay? I mean, that's the people manufacturer. They manufacture that product for this type of contact. So it's not an issue. But what you could do, if you believe it is, you could reach out to manufacturers of wiring cable and ask them directly the question. Or you could reach out to Great Stuff Pro folks and ask them, I don't know if it's a DAP product, and you could say, does your product have any detrimental effect on the sheathing? So it's not in contact with the conductors. It's going to be in contact with the sheathing. And PVC, for example, is very resistant to any chemical application, that type of thing. So, so it's not going to have that type of thing. I see everybody being an expert on this Great Stuff Pro stuff. I'm telling you, you're all wrong. You don't have to listen to me. You don't have to listen to me. I'm just telling you, you're all wrong. In a dwelling, the Great Stuff Pro, the orange version, is perfectly acceptable for the fire blocking, because that's really what you're doing. You're fire blocking, that type of thing. Okay? All right. You do you, boo. You do whatever you got to do. Okay? Stuff them with rock wool if you want, whatever, that type of thing. You do you. All right. Don't let me stop you. All right. Now, wiring in ducts, plenums, and other air handling spaces. Okay, so ducts, if you're going to be doing wiring and you're going to be looking at, hey, how can I get it from point A to point B? Can I go through this duct system or whatever? All right, well, ducts used to transport dust, loose stock, or flammable vapors shall not contain wiring system of any type. That's a no-brainer, right? No wiring system shall be installed within the ducts or shafts containing only such ducts used in vapor removal or for ventilation, commercial type cooking vents and all that. So no, I have had reports from people who say, well, the duct goes from this floor to this floor or from this to that, and I'll just chase it up a duct. Not going to work. You do have some allowance with non-metallic tubing, okay? That type of stuff. What is that? I had to use the damn poly stuff to satisfy this jackwagon. Yeah. Again, AHJs. I recommend people. Let's see here. I don't know if I even can do this. Hold on. Let's see here. I don't know if I can. Let's see here. I'm trying to see if I can find the. I'm not sure if I can. Let's see here. Hold on for a second. Let's see here. Okay. Here we go. Bear with me real quick. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. All right. So I'll go share this real quick. I don't know. I guess it'll come up. Let me share this screen instead. Okay. So I'm over here on the website for the great stuff, right? Now, you always want to reach out to the manufacturers of the product, okay? So, under the benefits, so it's tested to this, okay? Seals surface penetrations between floors, seals electrical runs through wall studs, okay? Orange color identified for inspection, right? You've got the MS data sheet, which will tell you here. Intended for use in residential application to maintain the continuity of an approved fire block material. Let's see here. Facts. Where can I use Great Stuff Fire Block? Great Stuff products can be used in a variety of exterior and exterior, common ceiling, yada, yada, yada. Pipe penetrations, exterior, electrical, okay, yada, 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 yada. All this kind of, so they're the people that you want to reach out to and ask these type of things, because I certainly would rather use this type of stuff. Let's see here. I'm just seeing if there's anything extra. Let's see here. I'm just seeing if there's anything. This is kind of dispenser stuff. But anyway, they make this product. And here you go right here. So this is kind of what it's talking about. The smart dispenser makes it easy peasy. And here, impedes spread of fire and smoke through surface penetrations, yada, yada, yada. So it would not say all of this stuff if this is what it wasn't rated for, right? Okay, so you have all these requirements. So here, fire blocking. So
when the day calls for great, grab a can of Great Stuff Fire Block. It impedes fire and smoke spread through surface penetrations with orange foam for easy ID and inspection. Take on gaps with a reusable smart dispenser with no drip tip and work clean with no mess. Great Stuff Fire Block with smart dispenser. Reach for greatness.
Okay. So it is designed for fire blocking, and that's what you're doing. You're maintaining the rating of the assembly. We're not talking about we're not talking about a freaking 3-hour wall here, folks. 2-hour wall here, folks. We're not talking about that stuff. I think people are going way overboard. Basically, in a residential, you're only to stop the products of combustion, and it tells you to maintain the rating. Well, if the wood stud's filled with the fire blocking material, then it's maintaining the rating of that assembly. That's what this product was designed for. It's orange and it's got all the markings and everything. And if an inspector gives you a problem with that, we're not talking about 2-hour ratings in a commercial. We're talking residential this week. So I think people go way overboard when they don't understand what they're doing. But again, give the data sheet, give the product information, contact the manufacturer. It's so much easier to use this. But again, if you want to use the 3M products and the caulks and all that kind of stuff, that's probably overkill. Okay, so that didn't matter. Let's see here. This for service nipple from disconnect wouldn't matter to me. Shouldn't matter at all. That Great Stuff Pro should work fine for that. So if your AHJ doesn't agree with it, then they just probably need to educate themselves just a little bit more. Maybe you don't want to educate them. That's okay too. All right, so only wiring methods consistent of MI cables without an overall non-metallic covering. Type MC cable employing a smooth or corrugated impervious metal sheathing, not interlocked, without an overall non-metallic covering, electrical metallic tubing, flexible metallic tubing, intermediate metal conduit, or rigid metal conduit without an overall non-metallic covering shall be installed in ducts specifically fabricated to transport environmental air. Okay, so ducts that are made to move air in a conditioning system, then you can put different types of wiring methods into it, maybe to facilitate to an alarm, a sensor, or some type of flow sensor or something like that. Then you do have some types of wiring methods that could be in there, okay? Now, the reason that makes a big deal, why we say it this way, is it's not residential, but I have actually been out as a guest to look at a big facility that actually had a environmental air plenum that you can actually walk into. It's big enough to go into. So any of the wiring methods that would be doing anything in there, the sensors or anything in there, had to be one of this type here, okay? And mainly, the key thing is it's non-metallic, no non-metallic, no PVC coating on anything, but you have the different types of wiring methods that they will allow you to do, right? In that environmental air duct system. So it's part of moving the air, whether it's part of your HVAC system or whatever it is, then you can have different types of wiring methods in there, very limited, okay? Again, a little bit off of residential, but since we were here, it made sense to talk about it. And you get all these in 300.22b. You also can have FMC permitted in links not exceeding 4 feet to connect physically adjustment equipment like those air sensing devices, okay, that are permitted to be in the actual duct. So while you have all these other methods that you could penetrate this environmental system, this duct system, if it's FMC, for example, you're going to be very limited to what you can penetrate. Okay? And it's just to get to the sensor and get the hell out, that type of thing. But these other methods can run in there further. Okay. Now, you have here wiring methods and cabling systems listed for use in other spaces and used for environmental shall be permitted to be installed in ducts specifically fabricated for environmental air handling under the following conditions. So you have some allowances. Now I want to show you that in the code real quick, just so you can see how the exceptions work so that we get an idea. So let's go to the code. And again, EV Mux will tell me it's my product and not theirs that are doing this. But anyway, go down here just to show you. I just want to show you that we're talking about here. So these are ducts that are specifically fabricated for environmental air. You saw all this. This is all what I just read to you basically. But here's your exception. Down here it says, so wiring methods and cabling systems listed for use in other spaces used for environmental. So it might be listed specifically for that. Shall be permitted to be installed in ducts specifically fabricated for environmental air handling purposes under both of the following conditions. Okay. All right. So right here, the wiring method or cable system shall be permitted only if necessary to connect again to like a sensor or device or flow sensor or maybe a smoke detector or whatnot. So they can be in there. Okay. And then down here it says the total length of such the wiring method does not exceed 4 feet. So if you see down here, it's just, again, you can be in that duct for maybe like a fire sensing device or something like that. Okay, then you can be in there. But you're very limited in the type of wiring methods you can put in there. Certainly can't put non-metallic sheet cable in there. So that's, again, just kind of deviated from the residential, but I just wanted to make it clear. Now, the one that we deal with a lot is what's called other spaces that are used for environmental air. And let me give you the context of that. I'm trying to see if I have a picture to use for that. Let's see here. The best way, let me see if I can do a visual description of an example of others. So this is not just residential, but I'm just going to paint you a picture. So what is an other space used for environmental air? All right, let's say we're in this room together, and we have a suspended ceiling, drop ceiling, okay? And I have an air handler above the ceiling. Now, the air that comes being pulled out of this room that me and you are in is being pulled up through a grate, and that grate has no duct connected to it. It's just pulling it up into this cavity. And if it's pulled up into this cavity, and then it's being pulled across the cavity into this big filter that's at the end of an air handling unit, then guess what? That space up there is being used as an environmental air space. And if that's the case, we have different types of wiring methods that we're allowed to have in there. And they can't be a non-metallic. So I can't have NM cable up there. I couldn't have a PVC jacketed MC up there. Okay, I couldn't have a rigid metal with a PVC coating up there because that is an environmental airspace, but it's being used like a plenum. So we call that a pseudo plenum. It's being acted like a plenum, okay? Now, what if I have this same scenario, guys, and I have a drop ceiling and I have an air handler up there, but it's individually ducted. So the supply and the return to this room is, and everywhere up there, it's not being used as environmental air because the air is being pulled out of the space below where me and you're at, through flexible ducts or metal ducts into the air handler, and the return is coming out of it with a duct into the room. So there's two vents, okay? So if that's the case, that space above the suspended ceiling is not an environmental airspace, okay? If that's the case, then I can run anything I want up there. Non-metallic products as well as metallic products, okay? So that's the key in whether or not that is an environmental airspace. Now, we also have certain allowances when we're doing dwellings where we will be able to use the cavity for the return space, that we will be able to use a cavity in order to be able to put non-metallic sheet cable perpendicular to that cavity, right? So we'll see that in a minute, but I think that it was important that we discuss the context of what is a environmental airspace and what is not, and what is a fabricated duct. Now, giving you that same example, if that space above the ceiling in all your vents, the return and supply are all ducted in, then that space up there is just like any other space, just like down here where you are. Up there, it's no different. So I can run the same wiring methods up there that I could down here. Except if I need to penetrate that duct to put an alarm in there, or a sensor, or a flow sensor, then I would be penetrating a fabricated duct, and then I've got those wiring methods that I'm limited to, that type of thing, okay? You with me? All right, so that's the biggest difference in the two, okay? All right, just wanted to make sure we were all clear on what that would be, okay? Now, so if that's the case, 300.22c applies to spaces not specifically fabricated. They're just being used as a environmental air handling purpose space, but used for air handling purposes like a plenum. Remember, sucking air from the room up into this open cavity. So think of it as one big plenum space, and then into the unit is totally different than being individually ducted, right? So this section shall not apply to habitable rooms or areas of buildings like where we're down here. It won't apply to that because it's just sucking the air normal, okay? The prime purpose of which is not air handling. Type MI cable without an overall non-metallic covering can be up there. Ain't nobody going to run MI, I'm just saying. MC cable without an overall non-metallic covering. And you'll notice this doesn't have to be smooth or corrugated. It could be the standard old interlock. So I get that question from people all the time. Can I have MC cable above a suspended ceiling that's being used for environmental air purposes? Does it have to be plenum rated? And the answer to that is absolutely not. Standard MC does not have to be plenum rated. Okay. Type AC cables fine up there as well, or other factory assembled multi-conductor cables, power or control listed specifically for use within an air handling space, listed prefabricated cable assemblies of metallic manufactured wiring. Maybe there's lighting systems that come with its own metal system that interlocks and connects. That's perfectly fine as long as it doesn't have any metallic sheathing on it. Okay. All other types of cables and conductors must be installed in one of the raceways or wireways listed in 300.22c1. Now, this is a good example of the airspace. Okay, this kind of hammers it home. Remember what I was talking about? So if this is blowing it out, right, but it's being sucked in from this open cavity, which means I probably have vents here that suck it in from the room, and then it's individually ducted out, then this is all specifically fabricated. So are the ducts, right? So this space above the ceiling is an environmental airspace, and you treat it just like a plenum. This is a plenum. These are specifically fabricated. So in order to penetrate this, I have those lists of wiring methods that allow me to penetrate this assembly. But up here, since this is used as an environmental airspace, because it's sucking in the air into the unit, it's not individually ducted down into each room, then I'm able to use the different wiring methods like a standard MC, but you still can't use non-metallic products up here, okay? So that's what they talk about when they say environmental airspace in the use of 300.22, okay? All right, now, what about in a dwelling application, all right? So, another thing to mention is non-metallic cable ties and other non-metallic cable accessories used to secure and support cables shall be listed having low smoke and low heat release properties. That's 300.22c1. So whatever you're going to use, if you're going to support cables, even MC that's allowed to be up there, and you're going to use as securing supporting methods that are tie wraps, for example, then you have to make sure that they are low smoke, low heat release. Okay, so you'll just look at the markings to determine whether or not they are. You can't just go down to Harbor Freight and buy you a bunch of tie wraps and use them in those spaces. Okay, now, one of the key things under the exception is for dwellings. We're geared back towards dwellings a little bit. Is under 300.22 does not apply to dwelling unit joists and stud spaces where the wiring passes perpendicular to the long dimension of such spaces. So, in residential, a lot of times they'll use a joist bay as a return, for example. And they'll just use it to pull air back because it is basically like a duct. You've got your sheetrock on either side and you've got this cavity, right? And they just cut it right into the sheetrock and put the grill on there. You can have non-metallic sheet cable run perpendicular, but it cannot use that cavity. So if you have any NM cable that may be running up the side of these joists or running up the side of a framing studs, then they cannot be in that space. Now, can it run across perpendicular? Absolutely. It just cannot run in the space. So I have seen many a time where the electrician has run it up the framing member, right? And they have a return down here, and they're running it up, and the electrician has a wire in there, and he didn't think about the fact that the duct folks are going to be using that cavity, and it's the chicken or the egg, who did it first. But if the inspector sees that it's going to be used as a return, for example, then what happens is they're probably going to reject you unless it's running perpendicular with the cavity, that type of thing. So just like it sees here, this way, not going to work. This way, perfectly okay. And happens all the time in dwelling applications, okay? All right. So there we see here, we're just over the hour, so I want to do a bunch of giveaways. So unless you have any questions, we're going to pick up tomorrow with securing of the cables and talking about securing and supporting within boxes and all this kind of other stuff. We're going to get into all those goodies with securing and stuff. But let's go on and get to some giveaways. All right, so this is the last day for the drawing. If you have any other questions up to this point, holler out at me, let me know. And again, if you have any very detailed questions, go to paulabernathy.com. But let's spin the wheel. Let's do some giveaways here on the last day of this giveaway. Let's go. Let's go. Let's do some giveaways here. #win. And tomorrow we will get into spacing, cables, MC cables, things that you didn't know, like go horizontally from the box over to a stud. Is that considered securing and supporting and meeting the rules? And we'll look at all that, and I'll give you the skinny on that. Okay, so you're like, oh, I didn't know that. All right, let's do this again. Something's not working right for my thing. Let's see here. Let's do this again. Felix is looking at the fast tracks. If you're in the 2017, you only have two options, the black or the plus, and they are only 12-month options. They're not unlimited like the others, okay? The only difference between the black and the plus is that the plus includes 12-month access to Fast Tracks Tube, which the black does not. Otherwise, it's the same program. Again, the only difference in the 2017 offerings is that they expire. They're only accessible for 1 year, so keep that in mind. Okay, but you ought to get your license before a year, so it shouldn't be an issue. Also, if your state changes midway through your studying, that's not on us. Okay, so you need to make sure when they're going to change. That way you don't get caught in the middle of it, because we can't upgrade you on those 2017 programs. They're locked in. Once you do it, you're in. All right, Dominique Sanchez, you're in the drawing for the knife. Awesome. All right, let's do it again. Can't help you with that switch. You need to reach out with them and see when they anticipate that they may be changing. Mike. All right, Mike. Estimating software. All right. All right, you're in on that next generation estimating software. Good luck to you on that. All right, let's go. More giveaways. Let's go. And once we get that all together, we'll do a show. We gotta do it, and I need to create the presentation so I can put all the names on it. So bear with me while we get it done. Estimating software again. There we go. Alberto V. Estimating software drawing. Awesome. There you go, Alberto. That's an amazing value. It's amazing software. It's probably the best estimating and bidding software out there. And it's a great start to learn if you're not familiar with bidding and estimating. Getting used to a software like that's going to be very beneficial to you. All right, let's do another one. Let's go. Giveaways here, the last day to do it. #win if you haven't done it yet. Go over #win if you haven't done it yet. We're giving away, getting you on the list. Whoa, good job. Let's see. Andrew Luis. Over on Facebook, you got the bidding and estimating course. All right, that is an awesome course. I think it's like a $500 value on that. So good luck, and hopefully your name will get drawn out for that. Good luck for that. So again, don't say I won. When am I going to get my course? We're going to be doing the drawing, and we'll schedule that show and everything. We have to put all the names together and all that stuff, but we wanted to give everybody one more day to be able to get in on it. So there we go. Okay, but don't worry, we'll keep you informed. If you win, we will let you know, and we'll be using your usernames that are right here on the screen, so that's how you'll know. Nice. All right, Rob. Nickman, you're in for the knife. Drawing for that knife. That is awesome. All right. Trying to give away as much as we can here on this last day, folks. Let's do this. Let's go. You tuned in? Stop right there. If you haven't tuned in before, hope you enjoyed the show. We can talk about just about anything in the morning. But it's to get your day going, get you started. Alberto, dude. Hey, license plate drawing. All right. Congratulations on that. If you win that, we will let you know. Okay. Let's go again. I'm rapid drawing today, folks. Let's go. Somebody's going to say it's rigged again. Alberto got hit it twice. It's random. No controls. Who's the first one to say it's rigged? Milton Toast. Fast Tracks Tube. Free subscription. You got to let us know who you are, especially if you don't have a username or whatever that's specific. All you got to do is go over to Coffee Hour and do this. I will show you folks how to do that. For those that have won that, you go over here, Coffee Hour, and let me show you what you do here. So here, this is the show, what it looks like over in Coffee Hour. This is where you're clicking live to watch the show live right here. But if you want to register, you see right here where it says members plans. You click on members plans and you come down here and you choose a free membership right here. And you pick a username, put in your information, your email and your password. And then you let us know that you won a free subscription over on the Coffee Hour. And you do that, we will get you elevated up to your annual membership. Give us a little bit of time to do that, but we will. And if you already won that Melting Toast before and you're already on Fast Tracks Tube, just let us know. We will spin again for you. All right, let's do another one real quick. Go. Rapid giveaways today. Trying to get as many as we can. Battles. All right, you got Fast Tracks Tube. If you already remember that, let us go. We'll spin again for you. I showed you how to do that just a second ago, so here we go. Let's do it again. Sorry about that. All right, Melting Toast, we'll spin you again. And we appreciate you. Absolutely, I can. All right, so this one is just flipping again, so we're going to have to do this one and do this again because it was flipping up. It's malfunctioning. So let's do this again. And then we'll do you a spin you again, Melting Toast. Ben Mina, I see you here. Red Dog. All right, Red Dog, you get the drawing for the Trade Hog. 12-month subscription to the basic, pretty much all you need. The basic plan will be all you need. Now spin the wheel again here for Melting Toast. See what else we can get on there for him. What else we can do? Daryl. Hello, Daryl. Thanks for joining us. And it seems to want to give you another tube, so we're gonna have to spin that sucker again. Dude, what the heck? Again, shows you that it's just random. I don't control it. Obviously, I would not pick that again if I controlled it. If I could stop the wheel, brother. All right, conductor sizing card. Let's see. Actually, it's more like how much conductors on a reel. That type of thing. So, but anyway, there you go. All right, let's do it again here. Let's go. Slightly rigged. I bet you say that, Paul, every time the lottery you never win the $50 million. You're like, it's rigged. Great. If it was rigged, Paul, how do we get all these new names? I'm just saying. All right, we got the knife. All right, so you're in the drawing for the knife, Frank. Neat little knife. I don't have one to show you. And they are a very limited quantity, but we're going to try to give all of those away. So you'll get multiple chances for that. I'm going to try to give away all of the knives at in the drawing rather than just one. So all that we have in inventory, because we want to do a new knife, a new, more intricate knife, more filigree stuff on it. And so I'm in the designing a new knife's look, which will be an exclusive knife from us. And so it'll be a pocket knife, a little bit bigger. It's not going to be a keychain knife. It's going to be a little bit bigger, but a little more detail, a little more electrical stuff on it, like receptacles and all kinds of. It's going to be neat. But I'm still in the design phase of it. But we got to get rid of all the little knives, and then we'll get into a new knife, that type of thing. I love engraving knives because you have to design it, you have to create the template and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, it's fun. All right, let's do another one. Let's go. Dude, I'm in the giveaway. What's up to 11 today so far? We're just giving away today. I'm getting at least in on the drawing. Edward Ellis. We're getting a nice mix here today. Edward, you're in on the estimating software. All right. That is an amazing value for the estimating software. If you're in bidding and of course you could resell it, but we'd love to see you use it. It is an amazing software. So you're in the drawing for that, and we'll let you know if you win. Okay, so let's do it. Let's go another one. Let's go. Let's go. Tino's saying, "Where's my name? Where's my name?" Paul's doing the same thing. Where's my name? There's Tino. You just went by. Dude. Frank again, dude. Frank. Wow. Frank is you're in the course, estimating course. Okay, you're in on that. Well, you know we got to do it again. Let's go. We got to do another one. Let's go, guys. I'm in the giveaway mood. This will be the 13th today. We're running over. I hate to keep you guys. I'm going to say, yeah, Frank's just rolling up in there. Thanks, Grace. Up there in Virginia, D.C., Maryland. Trade Hog drawing. You're in the drawing for the Trade Hog, which is an awesome thing. It'll get you out of a bind. I'm telling you, Trade Hog works amazing. All right, let's do one more 14th giveaway or registration for the day, and then this will be officially the last spin. Tina says I need to change my name. This is the last spin of this quarter. We're going to start a new one probably next week, and we're going to change around some of the stuff on the board and some more giveaways. Let's go. Last drawing. Okay, let's go. Pulling for Paul and Tino. Let's go. All right, Jay. All right, Jay Orman, you won Fast Tracks Tube. Again, if you know how to do that, go over to fasttrackstube.com, go to the members plan, sign up for a free one, and then let us know what your email is, what your name is, and that you want it over here on Fast Tracks Tube. We will match it up to the information here on the database of IPs that are in this drawing, and we'll get you upgraded usually within 24 hours or so. So, all right, guys, that was the drawing for today. I appreciate all of you for joining me. I have run over as always. We didn't have a chance to look at the hog today. Okay. The official drawing for software, you want to spot Luminity. The drawing is actually the day is the last day to register for get everything in the pick. And then probably within the next week, we're going to put together, because we have to get all these names in a hat and and separate them out so that we can put the estimating stuff in that one and all that kind of stuff. So not going to go back and validate you. If you won, you'll know you know you're in the drawing. But we have tons of them here that we now have to transfer over to those little cards that we can throw into the hat and do the drawing, that type of thing. So we have to manually do that. And we have a bunch of them now, that type of thing. So good luck to all of you that joined us for this. And we're going to start next week, some new giveaways, new stuff. They hacked the system. Yeah. So, guys, thanks for joining us. Share it with your friends. Glad you could join us here for Coffee Hour. Hopefully you got a little bit of knowledge to help your day get going. We're back to basics this week. So tomorrow we're going to be back to securing cables and talking about securing NM cables and MC cables, and we're going to get more into it. But that is going to be tomorrow, and we're going to finish this out. So join us back here again tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. We'd love to have you. Till next time, stay safe, and good luck to all of you. And you will be announced. You'll see the show. It'll be a special show where we will show the winners and the drawing and all that kind of stuff, so don't worry. All right? Till next time, folks, stay safe. Have a safe week. Get out there and make that money. Peace. Hey, folks, pays to hang around, doesn't it? Pays to hang around because guess what? Surprise, we're going to do one more spin. Let's go. Pays to hang around, folks. Everybody's jump off and leave for those that... The drawing is going to go to Angelo. I will not tear up that name, so I won't say it. Okay. Again, pays to hang around. You never know when Paul's going to come back. Let's go. Jay says, whoop! If you had jumped off, you'd have missed it. You're in the drawing for the G and B. Grounding and bonding course. All right, let's spin again. Did I throw you off for a loop? Some of you took off. I lost about 30 people because of that little. That just pays to Ned. Always make sure you hang in there. All right. Fernando Rodriguez. All right, you have got Fast Tracks Tube. Again, just go to fasttrackstube.com, member plan, sign up for the free membership, and then email us and let us know. We will hook you up. All right. Last one. Officially, this is going to be the last one. Shocked you all, didn't I? All right, Milton Coast. All right, you're in the drawing for the minimalist wallet. I love mine. I don't go anywhere without my minimalist wallet. Okay, so you're in the drawing for the minimalist wallet. All right. All right, folks, this time it is goodbye. Take care. God bless. Catch you tomorrow. Peace.